At this time, I'd like to call the Adams Central Area School District regular board meeting to order. Has been meeting properly noticed.
Yes.
At this time, if we could all stand for a pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. A motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Jim? Joanne? Motion made by Jim, second by Joanne to adopt the agenda. Is there discussion? Hearing none, we'll start this vote with Joanne.
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Lana?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Ron? Oh, Ron has been excused. Chuck?
Yes.
I'm going to vote yes, passes it too. With this, Board of Education report. Anyone?
Last weekend I made the trip to Indianapolis for the National FFA convention. Son Colin got his American degree. There was, I think, 10 Adams kids that went down there and they represented us well. They were, Megan Schultz was, you probably got that in, but she had won at the state level and actually had to present down there and went for, tried to get, she did good, so.
I believe she placed sixth.
Yeah, she was like
which
sixth
is
nationally.
exceptional.
Yeah.
So very, very pleased and proud for her.
Anyone else? With that, moving on, we'll start with Joanne's going to come out to do the Student of the Month. So we'll start with Grand Marsh Elementary.
And that I'm going to have Mrs. Tennyson, the third grade teacher, take up her Student of the Month. Richard, come on up.
Parents can come forward and take pictures if they'd like. We have some chairs right up here.
So this is my student of the month. Her name's Bridget, and I picked Bridget because she is one of the kindest third graders I've had. She is a friend to all of her classmates. She is a hard worker, and she does her personal best every day. And she comes to school, and she has a very positive attitude, and it's bright and sunny and ready to learn every day. And I really enjoyed having her in my classroom. This is Bridget.
All right.
And you get a coupon for ice cream. Yay! Yay!
Here is a certificate for you. If you want to maybe hold that up.
We're going to get a picture, okay?
Yeah.
You probably are. KFE.
Although Mrs. Peterson is here to present the award, our student of the month UT is not here today.
Well, we will do, we'll go with middle school.
I get the honor of presenting Layla Stemke. Oh, absolutely. So I know everybody wants to sing the song, but probably not all Eric Clapton fans. So I joke with a number of the students when just to kind of break the ice, and I told her she's got a speech. And she said, "You're joking, right?" I said, "Yes, I am, absolutely." She said, "Don't do that to me," but at least it made her smile. So here's a couple of things that some of her teachers wrote to us about Layla. Layla is a very responsible student and a great asset to my class. She is always prepared for math class and excited to learn new concepts. Layla takes opportunities to step outside her comfort zone to help other students when they need it. Layla is always up for the next challenge in math and works very hard to get her work done on a daily basis. That's from Miss Mansell, the math teacher. Mr. Couch, the science teacher, said she's always willing to help other students in need. Layla is, and then Mr. Novinsky, do you have We have Mr. Nowinski for ELA if you have Mr. Kautzer. That's thinking here. Layla's always shown tremendous growth in my class. Layla's a definition of hard work. She strives to perform at a higher expectation. As her ELA teacher, I'm very proud of Layla and her attitude in my class. So not only does she come with a smile every day to school and is a positive asset, she's also a great web leader. So she's helping mentor our fifth graders in how to be a better middle schooler. She's involved in powerlifting and is thinking of playing softball this year. One of the things that I like to say about Layla, she always comes with a smile, and she is somebody that makes our school better every day without question. Layla said.
Coming up, we'll get a full opportunity here. Got it, Dan? Good.
Congratulations.
High school.
All right, come on up. So it's not common at the high school to have a freshman represent us as the student of the month. So that tells you a little bit right there, but Mr. Sievers nominated. When I read this, you'll understand why. And Mr. Sievers wanted to be here tonight, but was unable to because of family obligations. So I nominate Austin Amell for Student of the Month. He has shown me what determination looks like. He puts effort into his studies, in and out of the class. He continually adds to the class with ideas and questions. I enjoy having Austin in classes. He actively participates and adds to discussion every time it seems. One of the hardest things to do as a teacher is to tell a student to put a book away when they're supposed to be working on their class materials. I know Austin would finish the material outside of class, but I want him to share his ideas with other students on those materials, as I know it would benefit them greatly from his contributions. For this, I nominate Austin, who has undergone adversity no other student should have to, and continues to shine. There are days I know he really struggles. He puts his best foot forward no matter what's occurring. That's truly humbling. He's a student who has been battling cancer, but has not let that diagnosis define him in school. He has faced struggles very few students have to face, and I want him to know how great he has done and should be proud of his efforts. He's an awesome student and human being. Congratulations.
Thank you. Okay, all award winners, if they go outside with Harriet, she's going to take a picture for paper. You're welcome to come back to the meeting if you would like. If not, you can continue on your way. Thank you. Okay, at this time, then, we're going to move on. Student report by Holly. Thank you.
Okay, Grand Marsh will be hosting their annual Veterans Breakfast / Tribute on November 15th. Student Council will help serve their veterans, and all students will participate in a short program to honor them. Grand Marsh had a Halloween dance on October 31st during school hours. Students got to dress in costume and had a great time. Student Council made treat bags for each student and teacher and delivered them after lunch. Kindergarten is learning colors this month. Every day is a different color, and they wear the color of the day. At the middle school, students enjoyed bringing awareness to different campaigns during Red Ribbon Week ran by our Student Council. They celebrated Unity Day, domestic violence awareness, cancer awareness, and drug / alcohol prevention. The annual Halloween dance was a huge success. 246 students attended out of 430. This was their largest attendance ever. Web leaders delivered special Halloween treats to their Webbies on Halloween. Web has been busy celebrating students' birthdays with colorful locker signs. They will continue doing this every month. Student Council will be taking 17 students to the Fall Leadership Tour at the Kalahari on November 25th.
We are excited to bring fresh leadership ideas back to the middle school. Student Council will be facilitating a winter food basket drive with the Positive Action Partners so that they can send food to families in our community. At the high school, council members have helped put together staff appreciation Halloween treat bags. They were delivered on October 31st. Our pie fundraiser concluded October 31st with lots of pies sold. Staff turkey raffle will be on November 22nd. Council members will attend the WAC Fall Tour November 25th at Wisconsin Dells Kalahari. There will be about 1,000 people there. Members get to listen to speakers and participate in breakout sessions. Ladies' Night Out took place on November 7th. Council members helped set up, serve, and clean up for the event. Sign up for our yearly Secret Santa took place at our last council meeting. Students leave little gifts and hints throughout the week of December 9th through the 13th to see if they can guess who we are. Yesterday, November 10th, our 34th biannual senior citizen dinner took place at the Adams Village. Our council brought dishes and played bingo with residents, making it a successful time with the community. Old School Santa / Home for the Holidays will be November 30th. Student Council helps with the kids and serves cookies and hot cocoa at the tree lighting at the courthouse. And preparations for December's pre-holiday fun day, December 20th, and state conference continue throughout the month. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Holly? Thank you, Holly. Moving on. Public comments. Rachel Wallendahl Kozler? Kostler. Rachel, you have 5 minutes. If you'd like to step to a podium, that'd be great.
So I'm here as a representative of the AFE PTO and as a parent of a student at AFE. I've been requested to come and talk to the board and request for your consideration that you guys, when you're developing the calendar for future years for school calendar, that consideration for adding in an additional parent-teacher conference opportunity. Currently, the one conference is great for parent-teacher engagement, but we feel that additional benefit could be had with additional follow-up, more parent-teacher engagement, opportunity to follow up on any concerns that were addressed at the first conference, follow up on students that are performing well, giving parents more opportunity to continue what the teachers are instituting in the classroom. We would volunteer as a AFE PTO to be a sounding board for any school calendar, parent-teacher engagement ideas that you might have. If you want feedback from us, we'd be happy to offer that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
With that, moving on. Consideration adjournment closed session. Is there a motion? Consideration adjournment to closed session. Consideration adjournment to closed session. Is there a motion? Hearing no motion, we'll move on. Motion for consent agenda.
So
Joanne? Ken? Motion made by Joanne, second by Ken to approve the consent agenda. On the consent agenda tonight, there's a co-curricular contract schedule, meeting minutes from the finance, policy, and regular board meetings, retirement for Peggy Bond Williams, higher recommendations for Kelly Netzler, a middle school, for the middle school kitchen, and I have to check, and there's no gifts and requests. With that, is there any discussion on these? Hearing none, we'll start this vote. Ken?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Lena?
yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
And my vote is yes, it passes 8-0. Administrative report, AFE administrative report.
So Brandy is just bringing a little something for you. Beginning of the school year, we surveyed our staff about how things were going, things that they wanted to see, that kind of stuff. One of the things that they talked about was staff recognition, as well as some self-care, making sure that they're taking care of themselves in any way possible. So with that, and with Dr. Tom's new slogan, new motto, it's a great day. We did get lanyards for all of them to start out their school year. It's just a positive way to begin the year, and we're continuing to recognize them as the year goes on. Every couple weeks, we survey things that they like to do, treats, snacks, drinks, whatever makes them happy. And these are just something that we started to make their day. So we thought we'd pass it on to you to make your day and make sure that you're taking care of yourselves.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John Marsh.
Down at Grand Marsh, our staff, and this is an academic night for us. Our staff had been looking at our Fontes and Pinnell literacy results, and they were thinking that they're going to use November and December before the Christmas break is really focusing on some literacy issues that they look at as far as decomposing and reciting back, because they're finding that there's a segment in the reading that they're teaching all the great stuff that they're doing, but they're just going to add the inquiry and evidence that students will repeat back to them from the text. They come up with stories and they offshoot, but they really want to focus on, because they know that that's a skill that they're going to be working on. So they're going to use that as part of their focus for the next month and a half or so before we go from there. So down there. And our STEM room that Mr. Remuth had and that we talked about last month, they've added all kinds of different worm farms now, so we're watching a bunch of different things happen. So just so you know, there's things going on in that room too. So lots of good things like that happen.
Dr. Wormuth?
I like a good inform.
There we go.
Middle school.
All right, well, thank you. Earlier today, I sent you all a flyer, a newsletter regarding the capstone project that our school and our staff have been working on and kind of presenting for our students. And I'm looking forward to hopefully presenting with some of my teammates on this in the upcoming month here. But one of the major themes is community involvement in making Adams Friendship, initially starting at the building level, a better place. So it was September, through a grant, some of our sixth graders were learning about activism, and they were thinking about how can they improve the school community just within. And it was presented to us that they would like to serve someone a holiday meal. So we've been working with Vicki to establish our December 11th. So we have a board meeting December 9th, but on December 11th you will get an invite to join our middle school students who will be working much like those students who volunteer at the Women's Night Out. They will be working to serve at their families and our guests. So expect a holiday invite for that holiday meal, December 11th. And then I look forward to, and I'm excited to present you our capstone project that's coming up. So there's 6 flags that our students will be working towards. But I sent that for you to preview, and our team will be presenting on that shortly. So, all right, thank you.
High school.
So today we had our Veterans Day Assembly. Kids did a great job. They got to hear from 2 of our staff members. Mr. Beal was the MC kind of for the event, a former service member, and then Samara Abdullah, our new school site, who spoke as the keynote speaker, and they did a great job, and students were excellent through the whole thing and represented the community well. Thursday, a new thing we're going to try. We've done Service Day in the past. It's going to be school-wide Service Day, the morning. Kids will be involved in community service activities, while the juniors won't be. They'll be taking the practice ACT. So everyone else, you'll see hopefully a lot of kids out in the community. We're busing them to the different schools, doing things from making quilts or tie blankets for the community members to what we thought was going to be raking leaves, but the weather didn't cooperate. So we bring snow shovels instead of rakes. And so they'll be out, some will be outside, but a lot will be inside in various buildings around the community. We're hoping they learn to serve themselves and to give back. So that's it.
Director of Building and Grounds.
Why don't you start with the first page? Okay, this is our self-performed projects. And what we do here at AFE is way different than what other school districts do. Number one, the standing joke with a public project is we spent $100,000 before we put our first screw in the wall. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but that's typical of a government project. What we do here is we self-perform, and then we also are consultants. We do our own consulting here. We had I guess I'll start with this and then I'll work my way through this. This is Kevin and Barbie came up to me and wanted me to add a bathroom and an outside entrance to the high school. So what we did this summer is we created a space. We first had to start out with some plans. Bob and I did some looking. We got some as-built. They said that there's plumbing under that concrete. So it's quite the gamble. You gotta really believe in those things. And I've been there many times where the plumbing isn't where it's supposed to be, or isn't where they say it is. So first we cut the slab, which most people get out a jackhammer and they make a lot of mess and a lot of noise. We cut slabs here. So we cut the slabs and then we used a scissor lift to pick that slab out of the ground and get it out of the way, put it on a pallet. Then we started digging, and Brian Booth and myself got in there and we started digging. And I swear we were digging to China, where they said it was supposed to be, where the drain was coming from the other side to that side. It was supposed to be right there. Well, we dug down 4 foot. And you should have seen the panic on my face and his face. We were looking at each other like, and we had a pile of dirt in there like you wouldn't believe it. Well, then we started heading west, and we started digging. And eventually, by golly, we found it. And you want to see one happy fellow. That was me, because we had already had a plumber scheduled. And one of the things we're doing here, normally in the school district, they'd hire a plumber to come in. They would hire him to do all this work. So he would cut this slab. He would do that digging. Now, for him to do that, his price goes way up because he's not sure what he's going to run into. So you're always paying this inflated price for this stuff, and I mean huge money, usually. But what we did do is we hired a plumber to go through all the state approvals. We hired a plumber to design it for us, you know what I mean? Aaron and Dee out of Wisconsin Rapids. I've worked with them for 32 years, you know what I mean? So they came in and did this. By us doing this, it probably saved us $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 right there on just that hole, believe it or not, what they would charge us for that. So anyway, we got the plumbing all hooked up, got her all back in, got the concrete poured. We pour our own concrete here. Got her all finished nice. We had Friendship Home Center put in the VCT, and then we started building our walls, our stud walls, metal stud walls. So we kind of, between Bob and I, we design it with the electrical end of it. Bob takes care of all the electrical, I do the metal stud work. Got her all framed in. Then it came to that outside entrance there on the right. And what that was a window. And that was our best option to put in a door. So then we called my buddies at Quality Door who put in aluminum entrances, and we got them to give me a size that works. And then we created that opening so that it would fit, but yet it would still fit with with the building and make it look right when it was all said and done. And then Bob and I and a bunch of guys, we went and poured the slabs, got the concrete in. And then here's kind of our finished product. You can see kind of a storefront door going outside. You can see the bathroom with the toilet, and on the other end you don't see it, but we've got a sink and faucets and all that good stuff on the other end.
Where's this entrance from?
That would be coming from the west off the teacher parking area.
Okay. I see this equipment here. Like, is it a treadmill?
Yep, they got a little treadmill there and a TV, and then they got, and I wish I could expand those pictures. We might be able to click on them and expand them, but they're kind of narrowed up so they look kind of funky, but the teacher's got it really well decorated. It's a real comfortable space when you go in there. And I guess, Kevin and Barbie, what kind of room is this?
Personalized learning and transition room at the high school with a special ed teacher and a para in that room. So students that might have too much anxiety coming through the front door with all the busyness, they can get dropped off at the back and do that way.
It's for special ed students.
Okay, then go on to the next slide if you would. Okay, this is our auto class area. This is where they've got the lifts and everything for the cars and stuff. Christian Weglar's got a grant for some money for equipment and stuff, for small engine stuff, and they're holding 2 classes in the same area, so they wanted to have a space where they can kind of separate themselves and give them a quiet area. So it's just a quick design. We've actually added a window and a door, so that stud work you'll see there, we added the window and door after the fact. It's kind of one of those things where you hire a contractor to do a job, and then all of a sudden, the teacher comes in and says, hey, I want a window. Hey, I want a door. Well, normally that costs you a lot of money. Because I used to be that guy that would add all that up and add those extra charges in there. But we were able to do all that quick. We scrubbed that floor. That was a paint booth area and stuff, and the floors were just filthy with paint and stuff over the years. Doug Clark and his team did an excellent job of getting those floors polished up and cleaned up nice. And then you see the green striping around there. We repainted that whole area. The lifts, we repainted all that stuff to give it kind of a new feel. Bob went in and installed new air hoses and all that good stuff, and it's kind of turned out all right. We've got a little bit of trim work to do in there yet, a little bit of window work, but we're getting there. We had some old countertops we ripped out of AFE, we reused there, utilized that stuff up, so it turned into a really nice project and a reasonable price project for them. So, could you go to the next picture, please?
If I can just add to that one, that was the old paint booth that was just being used for storage and not being used for automotive much anymore. So now we have a 3rd lift in there. Brake Bush made a donation last year. So we have a 3rd lift, so you can have 3 student groups working on cars at the same time, along with that small engine shop. So it really allowed us to expand what we do in that room.
Okay, this is a room that some of you may recognize. When I went to school, I couldn't go in this area because it was a girls' locker room. So anyway, we took that, and there used to be old concrete bases in there that you would sit on, you know what I mean, and then the lockers around there and stuff. So we did some floor grinding and got it all cleaned up as best we could with the space we had. And the one thing we had to do to create more of a comfortable space, otherwise it did feel like you were in a dungeon, and that was we added the 2 windows, which added that natural light coming from the south, and that really changed that space instantly. So it gave us another space in the middle school that we definitely needed. And all in all, it turned out, I think, pretty good for what we were working with. We took an old sow's ear and turned it into a silk purse. So okay, that was kind of how that worked. Okay, go to the next one. Okay, that would be Brandy's room, I believe. She had this beautiful office, and one day she came to me and she says, I want you to split it in half and create a little conference area.
Another office on the other side.
And so anyway, we went through there quick, and unfortunately I was down 2 guys. One guy retired and one guy got hurt, so you learned to hang sheetrock again and all those things that I avoided because I was a construction superintendent over the years, you know, but no. Anyway, we put a little wall up there and created a nice little space. You got 2 spots. She had 2 doors coming into her office, so it worked out beautiful. Bob did a little work with the electrical and that kind of stuff, and we kind of moved on over to the right. Now that's the new IT room. That's Joe's room, and then the other side of that was their break room. They were willing to give up a little space to IT, and so we created 2 rooms out of that. So we've got a nice little office back behind that wall. You don't see it. And then on the left, that would be the other office we made by Barney's. Okay, go to the next one. Okay, this is back to AFE. This is that project, and first I want to start out with, we used to do consulting here, a lot of consulting, where we'd have guys come in. This particular one, I believe, was CISA 10. I know we gave them a lot of money, and then in the end, when I came in, we had to give them a quarterly payment for the energy savings of the work that they did.
That was a state requirement, though.
Okay, okay.
You couldn't do your own contracting, and they required you to work with a third party. There were only a few people certified in the state that you could contract with.
So you
said
they benefit the state money, basically.
In one of my previous lives, we had to work with them as well. So
we also had a contractor, a consultant that gave you a new roof project here and stuff, and we've had a bunch of different asbestos contractors also that have come in. But this is one of those where we self-performed, you know, our work. We got state approvals on the plans and everything, and got approvals by the county and in the city to do this work. Now Bob there is working with a quickie saw. We're doing some demolition there, and then we took in Russia, Korea, and we donated the backhoe and the trencher to do all that work, did all our own digging, laid our own pipe, and then we did all the demolition. And the reason we did that was because Econ gave us a price, but if you subtract what we're doing there, it was a substantial amount of money that we saved by doing our own work and self-performing. We also, what we did was we didn't hire a consultant, and then he didn't go out and hire an engineer, and then we designed this project. What we did was we took 4 contractors that I was really comfortable with over the years, and then we used their engineers to design the project. So what they did was they each came in to do our project for us, and then each one of them had multiple engineers with them. Actually, H&H, I think they had 5 or 6, maybe 7 guys that engineered that project. Each one did their own engineering. What we asked for is we want air conditioning, and we want boiler system, and we want DVCs, digital controls, whatever, throughout the whole school. So we have them do the design work for us, which saves us huge money. And then in turn, Bob and I would go through the list and pick on it, and we actually cherry picked, and then we got them to rebid it to get the exact things that Bob wanted in that project. For the most part, we had to give up on a couple of things that we wanted, but for the most part, we got you air conditioning. What we did was we did that at a real cheap rate that is basically unheard of. You know what I mean? It was the project itself went really well, and like I said, the contractors that I'm working with are willing to work with us to give us these breaks. We needed just that concrete right there you're looking at is $5,000 on their bid. Just that alone. So I mean, we self-performed that, and Bob and I forget who we had, maybe Bob Mickert helped us that night pouring that, but we have very little money other than concrete. In our labor, you pay us 40-hour a week anyway, so you know what I mean. It's in the end you're getting a good deal. Here we're setting the transformer. Actually, Bob and I were standing there helping him set that transformer, and we were so glad that those pipes fit inside that transformer. And it's tight, believe me, because you're in a bad shape if that doesn't work, and it works. So we were all happy about that. And go on to the next one. Here's a little bit of what we do in our department is we look forward. We look at what are the possibilities down the line. If you look over that right picture, you're looking at those 2 pipes and you're thinking, I wonder what that's all about. They just kind of end out there in the middle of nowhere. What that is just future thinking on what happens if we have to add on to this building. Here it's dirt cheap. There's a little bit of pipe there that's nothing and a couple of valves. But by having that and then having the boiler capacity for the future, we're sitting really well on that building. If we ever decide to add on to it, you literally just saved yourself thousands of dollars by having those boilers the way it's set up. Okay, go to the next one. Here's a little bit of a breakdown. And actually, believe it or not, I was very conservative on these numbers, but this is what I believe they would have cost. I have done a lot of estimating over the years. I did 32 years in the trades, and I did 17 years building buildings all over the state. I'm sure every one of you have been in one of my buildings, either the Catholic Church, hospital, Riverview, clinics, Westfield High School, liquor store, jail. I can take you all over the place and show you some buildings. Anyway, that's how I come up with these numbers. But auto shop classroom, I figured 7,000. I think that's pretty conservative. The bathroom and outside entry, $40,000 to $75,000. I think that's very. When you start talking commercial construction and the variables, people protect themselves by charging a lot of money. Middle school locker room remodel, $5,000. Honestly, you probably couldn't even get in to look at it for $5,000. But I feel that's what we're saving, you know what I mean? AFE offices, $5,000. AFE demo transformer and upgrade of the econ credit. Basically, that was a set number that I got them to reduce their number and gave us that money back, basically. So that's a pretty good number there. And then the AF high school digital controls projects and consulting, I figured anywhere from $65,000 to $100,000 probably. The engineering costs and the consulting fees that you charge. I did with CISA 10, which it's a good group of people. We work with them every day on a lot of our environmental stuff. I just asked them curiosity-wise, what do they charge in today's market? You know what I mean? They told me anywhere from 4 to 5% of the total cost of the project, and then $106 an hour. But the one thing that surprised me was they don't manage the actual construction. They don't sit there and watch them guys to make sure they put all the rods and the footings, or they don't do that part. They're just basically in the bid end and then hiring the engineers to do the design work and get the thing going. Which, don't get me wrong, pretty much every school district in the state of Wisconsin does it that way, just because they don't have the talent that we have in our department. I've got an electrician, I've got a plumber, we've got a superintendent of a construction company. You're probably the only school district that has a superintendent of a construction company. I was in a room down in Waslow, and they had probably 58 guys that were all buildings and grounds guys. And they went around the room and asked everybody what they did. And some of the jobs that they had prior to being buildings and grounds guys, it was unbelievable, different people that came into the mix. There weren't a lot of tradesmen, but I think part of that is just the dollar amounts that they make. They don't want to take that reduction in pay. But it was just amazing, but at the end of that, it was a big mistake, because as soon as I said I was a construction superintendent, the next thing they know, they wanted me to mentor all these school districts. And then Waslow was coming up to me, hey, you got to mentor these guys, you know what I mean? And it's like, ooh, I don't have time for that, you know. I got transportation to do too. I can't do that. But anyway, that's kind of the gist of it, and thought you'd like to see what we've been doing last summer. We're going to be doing more, I'm sure. The girls and guys will come up with some stuff for us this coming summer. And we've added to our group of guys, and we've got some talent here, so we can do more things. Now, not only do I got an electrician, I got a plumber. So I appreciate you hiring Brian, and we look forward to doing some more projects for you. That's it.
Thanks.
Go ahead.
I would like to just say how impressed I was when I looked through all of this and realized that, you know, we face financial hard times ahead. The fact that we can do these projects internally led by you, I am very grateful, and I know I speak for many people saying your expertise that you bring, as well as the rest of your team, we do appreciate you a lot. So.
Thanks. Dr. Irvin, question.
All right, so we have a lot of really exciting things academically going on in our district. There's one kind of thing we've all been working on, administrators. We went to a PLC training in August that I think we talked about already, and we've been attending Leading for Learning through our CISA that's run by the DPI, and all the different CISAs have administrators and all kinds of staff members attend, and is a video presentation by some really, really top-notch folks in education who are teaching us a lot of really good things. So I'm working with lady Jill from the Wisconsin RTI Center and the ladies at CISA, and we're meeting as an administrative team on Wednesday morning for a block of time, which is really great, so that we can bring our ideas together and really start the footwork in making some really positive changes with academics. You'll hear about something from Barbie that I'm working on with her, but we're really taking a look at data as part of this PLC work. That's something that I've been working on, and just really pinpointing those areas that we have to make some major improvements in, and just really trying to find the right steps to do that. And the other project that we are starting a little bit to work on is to really take a look at our RTI program with the interventions, and possibly restructuring that a little bit to make it more effective for the students who need the most services from us.
Thank you. Barbie, Director of Physical Services.
So I feel as though lately all of I've been wanting, maybe not wanting to do, but doing is audits. So we are just finishing up our special education self-audit that the school psychologist did along with Andy Bowe. What that does is really tell us areas that we need to maybe improve upon, be it with paperwork or with our practice. few audits that we've done have usually just dealt with paperwork. And finally, DPI has been looking at, oh, it can't just be about paperwork, it has to be about practice too. So we're having to go ahead and talk to the teachers to make sure that we're offering the services that we say we're offering in IEP. So we'll be wrapping that up in the next week and a half. In addition, Laura and I have been going to our second series. It's an equity audit. And when people think about equity, they often just think of race. But what this equity audit is doing is it's really asking the question, are we disproportionately qualifying students for special education based on race and ethnicity? Are we over-serving a certain population? Are we underserving a population? Are students who have social economic circumstances, are they more or less likely to be in sports? So it's really allowing us to go ahead and look at our practices, and through this it has really had us learn how to use WiseDash, which is a state information system, and really take some data apart. I think you'll be definitely learning more in the next couple trainings to hopefully guide our practices in the future. Another last thing that we're working on in special ed, which I'm pretty excited about, is with the high school, we're looking at making a special ed course catalog. Some special ed students who, per se, aren't able to access the curriculum that the general population of students can access, they don't have a course catalog to choose from. It's kind of their scope and sequence is really fragmented. So what we're doing is trying to put together a course catalog so we can look at those options a little bit better, and also to hopefully help with planning for future courses and also help with scheduling. So those are just some areas in special ed we're working on right now.
And you get your self-audit. Can you report a little bit on what the teachers have said in relationship to practice, the things that you think you're going to tweak or improve?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can do that when we're all finished up.
Thank you.
Commissioner, still focusing on the same 5 or 6 things that I think are really important in trying to put my energy in these places with our administrative team. The first is improving student outcomes. Having conversations and discussions about our curriculum. Having conversations about scheduling. Not just scheduling like a calendar schedule, but what our schedule looks like during the day. Having conversations about curriculum instruction. It's very nice to have Laura here who can focus on curriculum and instruction issues. And I think if you spoke with most of our teaching staff, informally, that's an area where we really do need to improve, starting with curriculum and then moving into instruction. Focusing on staff retention, looking at the school calendar and trying to be creative with what that looks like within the constraints of what the state requires regarding starting date. And then some tangible and intangible things to try to retain our staff. We can't afford to lose close to 60 of our staff persons, professional staff persons like we have over the last 2 years. With that, there's a climate and culture element that we're still trying to push. I loved It's a Great Day to Be a Green Devil lanyards. They're fantastic. I try to say that when I'm in buildings, that's what they were referring to. I like to say it's a great day and then get the response to be a green devil, particularly with the elementary kids. It's fun. And then working with climate and culture with our teaching staff as well. What administratively we're realizing that it's difficult for our young staff or new staff to our district to find housing in our area. And as our newer staff persons live outside of the district, it's more and more difficult to make connections with the district. And we believe that's going to erode culture over time. So trying to look at some creative ways to get people here. And then everything, actually then facilities as well. We have a great crew in our district, which is nice to have. It's a luxury to have. But at the same time, we need to be efficient with our facilities and try to make sure that we're providing students an opportunity to learn in really modern 21st century learning environments. And right now, there's a place in our district that I don't believe is a viable learning environment. And then everything is wrapped in the financial conversation and concerned as we move into the future, what our district looks like from a financial perspective. I know later this week, Ronnie's going to go to the Baird event where we'll get information about rolling things over. And like most rural school districts, we're probably in a situation where we're going to have to survive via operational referendum. And as we have that conversation next month and in the following months, what does that mean from a tolerance perspective in our community? What will the community tolerate over time unless things drastically change in Madison? And I would encourage you to look at the news and look at what's happening in Palmyra Eagle. Not that we're in that situation, but almost every rural school district in the state of Wisconsin is headed in that direction. And it's a concerning and frightening experience, not only for myself but my colleagues, and what that means for rural communities across the state. On that happy note, it's just difficult times right now, and we've declined. Ronnie and I have spent quite a bit of time together over the last couple of weeks. Our student enrollment peaked in the early 2000s, and we're approximately serving approximately 600 less students today than we were at that time. And what that means to our resources as we move forward is distressing. And we have a difficult time capturing the ear of our elected officials. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll go to policy committee now.
The policy committee called the meeting to order at 5:30 tonight. We looked over the policy for the second readings, and we've tabled 1130, 3230, and 4230 conflict of interest. And on behalf of the policy committee, we move to make a motion to move the following policies into policy. 7530.02, staff use of personal communication devices. 1422, 3122, 4122, non-discrimination of equal employment opportunity. 1662 and 3662, employment anti-harassment. 2260, non-discrimination, access to equal educational opportunity. 2270, religion and the curriculum. 4220, education for employment. 2420, education for employment. 2700.01, school performance and accountability reports. 3120, employment of professional staff. 3139, staff discipline. 3140, non-renewal, resignation and termination. And 5111, eligibility of resident and non-resident students.
Is there
A second.
motion by Lena, second by Kathy to adopt the following policy, and I'll read the numbers only. 7530.02, 1422, 3122, 4122, 1662, 2260, 2270, 2420, 4700.01, 3120, 3139, 3140, 3362, and 5111. Is there discussion? I'm assuming you tabled 1130, 3230, and 4230 for next month?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll start this over. Jim?
Yes.
Leonard?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And my vote is yes, passed 8-0.
We did not get to the first readings, and we adjourned at 6:28.
Finance Committee.
Okay, Finance Committee met at 6:30. First item was the October bills, and on behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to approve general fund checks numbered 81522 through 81775, and ACH checks numbered 200067 through 20000093, and 2611 through 2632, totaling $1,218,482.87. And activity fund checks numbered 30832 through 30865, and ACH check number 1133, totaling $36,010.25 for the month of October.
Second that.
Motion made by Joanne, second by Jim to approve general fund check number 81522 through 81775, ACH checks number 20000067 through 20000093, and 2611 through 2633, totaling $1,218,482.87. And activity funds checks number 30832 through 30865, ACH checks number 1133, totaling $36,010.25 for the month of October. Discussion. Hearing none, we'll start this one with Lena.
Yes.
Kathy.
Yes.
Melissa.
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Joanne.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Jim.
Yes.
My vote is yes, passes 8-0.
And next on the agenda was the review of the most recent contract submitted by Copason Buses.
And just for a brief synopsis, Kevin Cole, Veronica Vanderheiden, and I have had 4 teleconferences with Joe Copason over the last month. We've had numerous emails and drafts of proposals go back and forth. What we're looking at right now, changes from the existing bus contract. We're looking at a 3.5% increase on an annual basis. The big changes from the previous contract, 3.5% annual increase in bus services. Over the last 5 years, the increase has been 2.56%. We're looking at, we have 23 regular routes. If we eliminate under 21 routes, there would be a 2% increase to each of the remaining routes. That started at 5%, so 2% we feel is somewhat reasonable. And the other sticking point, in our opinion, is that they would like to increase the length of service of our buses. Currently we're at 12, and they would like to increase that to 15 years. So I believe we were instructed, administration was instructed by the Finance Committee to try to finalize some of those sticking points with Copason within the next month and bring that back to the board.
Yes, I think that was just finance. You don't need to answer on that, we can just move over to finance to do that.
Yeah.
From what I heard from the committee, you felt that they were negotiating and
I think we had good conversations. I think the 3 of us had good conversations. We're a little concerned about some of the unknowns. The escalator for decreasing routes is something new. And it's difficult to tell as our enrollment and maybe configuration changes where we're going to end up. So that's difficult to plan for. Because we're a large geographic district, I'm a little uncomfortable with having older buses in service. I don't want buses broken down on the outskirts of our district. Those are not good phone calls to make. I've had to make those in the past.
Did you see though, I thought I heard the comment that you might say 15 years and mileage that you were going to consider?
We'll have a different conversation. I think we think that he might go to 12 in general, which would be good for us. He would push those buses potentially off to other districts then, but good for us. And then that 3.5% increase, although it's not exactly where we want it to be, it's less than a percentage greater than what we've been spending over the last 5 years on an increase, but right now, because of our declining enrollment situation, our revenues are decreasing, so every increase in fixed costs like transportation is less money we have to serve students in other ways.
And did I understand that if we cut 2 routes, it'd be about 84,000? And that if we did have to have one less again, and then 2%, that we would still come out maybe with 25,000?
We'd still be ahead because there's a savings associated with decreasing routes. However, we'd be penalized. Right now we have 23 regular routes. If we cut to 21, we'd be fine. If we cut 2 routes, we'd be fine. But if we went under that, there would be a 2% increase in the remaining routes. So we still would be ahead, but it's not a cost that we're used to. It was not in our original contract with Covisy. And then there was some question about days of the contract, and the other issue is we're trying to compromise with snow days with Covisy. For those of you that aren't aware, I mentioned earlier that Mr. Covisy came to us in the summer and wanted us to provide him a check for over $100,000, and we declined that opportunity. But from what I understand, we were one of the few districts that didn't provide Covisy with additional resources because of the number of snow days. So those are going to be the big changes in the contract that we aren't used to seeing. But they're pretty typical of other bus contracts, and we still believe that we're, based on contracts from other school districts, that we're in a good position at this point in time.
Yeah. A couple questions. Any further discussions as far as potential GPS?
GPS and internet are things that I've had conversations with Mr. Covisy, and it would be an added increase at this point in time.
Potentially, especially with GPS, they can gain efficiencies in the routing and that could potentially do some cost sharing.
We'll bring that up when I talk to him tomorrow.
Thank you. The second one, I had a question on our summer school routes. I know you and I have had discussions as far as, looking at creative ways to increase our attendance to summer school, like potentially picking up at the front door, kind of, so to speak. Would that increase our costs to, potentially, or?
You increase the length and time costs, so time associated with driver and length of ride, yeah.
And will we get credit for if we added there, if potentially you see where I'm going?
Yeah, probably not, because they would consider those existing routes. It would depend on if we added routes at that time. And then that's a trade-off with the number of students that we're serving in summer school.
So I don't know how you could potentially word that in the contract, of where if we added hours or so many hours equates into a route or whatever it is, that potentially we can use those as credits to our full-time routes during the school year.
I'll ask them tomorrow.
Something creative. I don't know.
Is there any other questions about Covisy? Anything else to it?
Nope, that was it. We adjourn.
New business development, see district-wide facilities committee.
Looking for direction from the board to develop a facilities committee to look at our existing facilities in light of our financial resources in the future. I will let you know that I got a contract today, finally, from the UW-Madison Applied Population Lab. The county is not interested in engaging with that. It's less money than I anticipated, $3,500, but there are a number of districts that are asking for their support. So I believe in the contract, they said January, Rennie, that they could probably have a study done for us in January, which still gives us enough time to have that data to help inform our decision-making and conversations.
So the process right now is we would more or less advertise for people to be on this committee, and then I would just appoint an ad hoc committee to do that, correct?
Correct.
Do you need any, you can go ahead and reapprove that contract with the university?
It's $3,500, so I have the opportunity to do that. I mean, we've talked about that informally.
Right.
I think having better data about the number of students we're going to serve over the next decade will help with the conversation about what we're going to look like from a facility and financial perspective.
And that information will help the facilities committee, right?
Without a question.
Joe?
This committee composition, I'm assuming that you're also looking at partners within the community?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Administrative team, board, community.
Okay. Cool. Teaching staff, students, I'd like to have cast a pretty wide net, at least one student representative from the high school.
We haven't decided that, how big it's gonna be, but, if we have an overwhelming amount, we'll probably have to pare it down a little bit. So, we'll go from there. Anything else on that?
No.
Moving on, discussion of potential elementary building and classroom configuration for 2020, 2021 school.
We've had conversation at the board level about providing direction about configuration at the elementary level for next year. Roxanne created a potential map and potential student numbers. If you were to roll the students from Grand Marsh into AFE next year, and I will let you know that we can accommodate all our current elementary students at Grand Marsh, or excuse me, at AFE next year. That would include 3 classes of 4K, 4 classes of first grade, 5 classes of second grade, 4 classes of third grade, and 4 classes of fourth grade, along with a number of special education and intervention rooms throughout the building, a dedicated art room and a dedicated music room as well. And this is just a very preliminary map. I did have the opportunity to share this with the staff at Grand Marsh earlier, late last week, and that's not a surprise. This is not a surprise for them. And again, it's just a preliminary map, but we easily could accommodate all of our elementary students at AFE next year.
I will tell you, I like this map that you gave us. I wish I would have saw a map like this when we moved the 5th graders over to the middle school, because we created some classrooms and spots I don't think were really classrooms. But now they fit better, but I think at that time, we didn't see a map like this, so.
And I would like to point out, again, this is preliminary, but if you look at the student numbers, as well, if you go to the bottom of that particular document, the last table, actually it's the third table on the first page, looking ahead with the students from Grand Marsh moving into AFE, we would be talking about reducing staff at the elementary level. We'd potentially be looking at, for any class serving under 80 students, 4 teachers, and 5 teachers at the second grade level that's serving 91 students. And we'd have conversation probably about 5K, and 4K is difficult because it's unknown. But we do have those 4K classrooms, so that's also anticipating the board's movement to full day 4K. And we'll be surveying parents, and the elementary administration has a survey that they've been working on already to try to get information about 4K numbers as we move forward.
Go ahead.
And as we go forward with this map, I know it's preliminary, but we could configure it where it looks, you know, we could get it to the public where it would look a little easier to
Yes.
discern.
This was just for a conversation purposes. It's very preliminary. You're just looking at the right hand of the building. You might want the 4 fourth grade classrooms across from each other and the 3 and the 4 third grade classrooms across from each other. They're on opposite sides of the hallway. I mean, there's just a lot of different ways that you could play with what this looks like. Where special ed and 5K rooms might be placed could be changed to group the first grade and 5K rooms together. This is just very preliminary, looking at the number of students that we're currently serving, projecting 4K, and thinking about this physical space.
Because for 4K, I like see 3 classrooms, is that what
Correct.
it comes up to? And it's in 4K and early childhood as well.
Yeah, what we'd be looking at, and we've had, again, very preliminary conversations. I know Barbie's had preliminary conversations of doing a more integrated, push-in inclusive early childhood program. We believe there's still some space we can utilize in the building for a dedicated early childhood special education room as well.
Would it need any construction?
No.
Okay.
Jeff?
I know I've said this before in the past, and now is a good thing to bring up again. I would really like to see this board decide classroom sizes and policy, that if we set the standard of how many kids we want in a classroom, and if the administration just makes the decision to go over that number, they have to come to the board for permission, and typically it's what resources are you going to put in there, because you are overriding the policy set by this. And that policy should be inclusive of input from the administration, from the teachers, best practices, even looking at what typical classroom sizes in districts that are comparable to us. Now is the time to talk about that, because I can tell you, me personally, 19 kids in first grade, you're on the edge. I mean, I'm not a teacher.
Today we have 21 and
Right.
23 in our 4K
And
program.
that's my concern, is that the board needs to be cognizant of those situations of where 19 may be the number or 20 may be the number. I know it's more work, but at the end of the day, it protects our staff and the board and our community, and that we're focused on a big part of our kids. And I think that's important. I think it's a great conversation to have as a community in setting those standards for here going forward. So I'll put that out.
But I would like to add, I would definitely want data input, not just feelings,
Right.
you know, about that, and actually listen to our staff on what they believe also is best practices with this particular group. As I'm telling you, when I taught at Brookfield East, we couldn't complain unless we went over 36 in a classroom, and then they broke it up into 2 sections. So that was their policy, but we have a different group of students with different needs, and I would certainly want our administration and our specials, all of them to have input on classroom size as well. So,
If you would like work on that policy, I would recommend that it is expedited because of this conversation.
I think the method behind my madness in my mind, how it works, is that will alleviate some of the concern, like people coming from, well, we had that concern at Roche Cree. Oh, you know, my kids have, 15 kids in the classroom, whereas they go at AFE, they may have 20. If we have a best practices, regardless if we decided to close Grand Marsh, this is what we thought were best practices, that's where we're gonna be, kind of thing. So it alleviates everybody's concern.
Right, but I will tell you now, our class sizes are wildly inequitable. If you
Oh,
look at it today in 3rd grade, and again, I'm just picking out a grade level. 3rd grade at AFE, you've got classes of 22, and 3rd grade at Grand Marsh is a class of 11, half the students.
Oh. we had that same issue.
So, I mean, it's, you know, there is some balance. If you bring all of our elementary students together, there is some balance. I would also say there is I don't have the data here, but I'd like to look at it. Who's populating our AP classes, what elementary school they attended? Because I'm guessing that's pretty telling. That's a multifaceted question, as you're aware. But this would allow us to alleviate some peaks and valleys in our current class sizes.
And just so I'm clear, I'm good with this consolidation. I just want us to set some standards.
Anything else, Tom? Anything else for about this issue? With that, we have nothing else on the agenda. Is there any movement not to adjourn? We're adjourned. 8:11.
Is that?